Hello, movie lovers. Welcome back to SignaTeek channel. Today is all about fresh cinema experiences, and I can't wait to share my thoughts on the newest film making its mark. Sit back, relax, and let's dive into the recap of this exciting cinematic adventure. As the film begins, Norwegian child welfare authorities are initially closely monitoring how Devika and Unnerd are raising their two children. After Devika and Unnerd's marriage, the couple moved to Norway. Two children were born to the beautiful couple, Shubin and Shuchi. Norwegian child welfare authorities do not give specific instructions on what couples should do to raise their children. Without revealing their future plans, they secretly take notes about Devika and Unnerd's escape and sabotage Saxi's vaccination plan. When Devika told her husband that Matilda and Thea had been visiting for over 4 months, he expressed concern. He tells his wife that if he wants to remain in Norway, he must follow the Velford system before going to work. Unnerd has made it a priority to obtain Norwegian citizenship and is willing to do whatever it takes to achieve that goal. The next morning, Oslo officials Alice Rumfordrud, Matilda, and Thea visited her home for a re-examination. Unnerd believes that working and earning money is enough, so he cannot think of helping Devika with housework or taking care of her children. He physically abuses Devika at home and constantly insults her in public. Norwegian child welfare authorities abducted Devika's children, and Devika was seriously injured when they tried to chase her. Due to their impure behavior and Unnerd's failure to help Devika with housework and childcare, it becomes clear that Devika and Unnerd are unable to raise their own children, Shubhu and Shuchi. The Norwegian government will provide them with a lawyer. According to Norwegian authorities, she Chatterjee force-fed her children and did it with her own hands, which was considered illegal and bad parenting. Verfried, who was watching over the family, said the couple beat the children, which is considered corporal punishment. Shockingly, while this behavior seems commonplace to Indians, the Norwegian government has strict child protection laws. Onold and Devika were given permission to meet the child. She burst into tears because of her emotions. Velfri's interpreter warned her not to cry in front of her children and not to form family ties with her own children because he would miss her when she was gone. Mrs. Chatterjee decided to embark on a journey to define Norwegian custody law in order to be reunited with her children. Sunil Kapoor will be on stage at a conference attended by eminent experts, lawyers, and activists. In an impassioned speech, he emphasized the need to change child custody laws to protect parents' rights and preserve cultural identity. When he explains to the authorities that the misunderstanding is due to cultural differences, his comments have a strong impact on the audience and inspire even more determination to bring about change. However, the Chattergeis were given instructions to better integrate into the Norwegian system and raise their children, resulting in a reconciliation committee overturning Mr. Belford's order. The Reconciliation Commission decides that the mother may pass on her cultural ideas to her children. Children must meet their parents again within 24 hours. Debbie and her husband are excited about the decision as they prepare to pick up their children. However, the Child Welfare Agency reversed the decision, claiming that new statements from his schoolmates revealed that the home was not suitable for raising children and that his wife was unstable. The next day, Daniel Svek, the second lawyer assigned to the Chatters by the Norwegian government, takes over social services. He points out that social services lack the resources to care for adopted children, and even goes so far as to blame social services for the rise in child prostitution in Norway. Daniel advises Devika to check her language as he will not simply accept her insults. Despite his desire to succeed, he is irritated by Devika's behavior and does not know how to make her understand the impact it is having on her case. Daniel makes a convincing defense against Devika, but ultimately her case is unsuccessful. The beginning of a 2-year separation between Devika's son and her daughter. 2 months after her breakup, Rabi Hussein visited Dobe with her mother, Nandani, who had left her child in her foster home. She also works as a lawyer, but her degree is not recognized in Norway, so she runs a business. She claimed that Valford was a highly dangerous organization doing business in the name of looking after children. Norway uses its wealth to attract immigrants from developing countries. When these immigrant families arrive, they are immediately subject to additional laws and restrictions on top of those they already have to abide by. They put the kids up for adoption, and if they don't cooperate, they put them in foster care. Charities and the lawyers who oppose them on their behalf benefit financially from this process. When Devika Chatterjee tried to warn her husband about her immoral behavior in Belford, her husband did not believe her and told her to stop following rumors about her. She kidnapped her children from a foster home and wanted to flee to Sweden to be with her children forever, but unfortunately, she was caught at the airport. When her lawyer arrived at the airport with her husband, the police officer gave her two options. Either she would be deported to India or she would be sent to jail. That's it. Her vision of Devika is blurry, and she has no interest in seeing anything other than the children in front of her that she holds in her arms. Anne Ruedlands leaves the hustle and bustle of her native West Bengal. Live as an NRI in the wonderful country of Norway. Unarud was once a perfect person who wanted happiness for himself and his wife. He took them abroad so they could have a great life. After their second child was born, he became increasingly busy and was unable to complete any household chores while she cleaned, cooked, and looked after their two young children. None of this is particularly unusual, but Unaldo has a terrible habit of never admitting his mistakes and instead blaming the entire world for his problems. It is Devika's fault that the children were taken away. A child care team arrived due to a complaint of domestic violence from Devika's friend. Unarud not only physically abuses his wife, but also verbally. He claimed that she deserved to be locked in her room in front of her parents. Every time she tries to say a word about wanting her children back, he shuts her down. Daniel returns to court to negotiate complex cases and challenge the status quo. Despite the language barrier and different cultural background, Berit Hansen, who has a different background than Devika, chooses to support Devika, who is willing to leave to get her children back. Her Devika knows that she would never do anything that would hurt her children. There was a video feed showing Mrs. Chatterjee attacking the police officer. A judge denied her petition after concluding that Chatterjee was mentally ill and that the children would remain wards of the state until they turned 18. Devika is often encouraged by Unalud's parents, who should actually help her. Devika leaves home in disguise and pretends to go to a temple to pray for her children, but her mother-in-law cannot help pointing it out. However, Devika is smart enough to take advantage of this situation to save her children, so she actually goes to meet the visiting politician. After a successful attempt to convince the authorities, she returns and prepares rice, milk, and banana flour, and gives it to her children before devouring it in front of her husband's entire family. As soon as India's Foreign Minister Vesta Kamat learned of the Devika situation, she abandoned plans for a telecommunications deal that was to be completed in Norway. It is embarrassing for them, and the Norwegian government is under pressure to resolve the issue as soon as possible. Government officials from Kamat were assigned to investigate the incident. Madhu Swede ensures that Unarud's younger brother gets custody of Devika's children so that he can take care of her after her Devika returns to India. Gomez is nowhere to be found, and Madhu Sudan consults Devika as Unarud and his family have broken their agreement and are denied access to their children. Because Unarud's older brother is Shubu and Shucha's adoptive father, Unarud's in-laws refuse to take their child to Devika, even though they have accepted funding from the Norwegian government. While Devika is in Norway, she is forced to divorce Unarud. She is currently in a legal battle with Unarud's in-laws over custody of her children. Daniel entered the scene again on behalf of the Norwegian government, arguing that since neither Unarud's brother nor Devika were able to care for the children should be sent back to Norway to receive care and instruction. Not available. Devika responds to the judge's request for opinion. She doesn't know if she's a good or bad mother, but she has a child. A mother will do anything for her child. She was raised by her devoted parents in a small town in West Bengal. She knew that her father thought she needed to go to school, so she decided without hesitation to get a bachelor's degree in science. Her mother then encouraged her to get married, and she did. Since no one asked Devika what she wanted, Devika agreed to follow her husband's wishes and moved to Norway. There she gave birth to two beautiful children and began to get used to building a life in a foreign country, living far from home and speaking a foreign language. Her children quickly became the center of her world, only to have it suddenly and unexpectedly ripped away from her within seconds. Devika's lawyer calls Daniel to the witness stand. She asks Daniel if adoptive parents could love their children more. This is a very personal question, but I'm sure Daniel is able to because he was adopted. But he understands Devika's love for her children and cannot bear to see this woman separated from her children any longer and decides to tell her truth on her behalf. I decided to. After 3 days of heated exchanges between the three parties, Partop indicated that Devika was fully capable of taking care of Shabu and Shuchi and that she should be given custody of the two again. This decision is supported by Daniel and Unalade and leaves his in-laws in a personally dire situation. When Devika receives custody of her children, Daniel immediately blesses her. As the sun sets, Mrs. Chatterjee's story continues to inspire countless people and spark a global movement to change child custody laws and protect the sanctity of the family. Her name has become synonymous with her courage, tenacity, and tireless pursuit of justice. Never underestimate the power of will, power, and love. If we work together, we can overcome any difficulty. And the movie ends here. Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed this film recap and want more, subscribe now, like, and share captivating stories with your friends. Tell me which movie you'd like me to summarize next. See you soon.